I'm Tom.
And I'm Molly.
Welcome to Friends at Gameology, hosted by MoonlightCrew.com.
Reviews for science.
In 7 minutes or less. DC deck building game Crisis 2.
Expansion Pack 2.
Expansion Pack 2. So, we talk about DC a lot, and whenever we talk about, how do you say, deck building games, because we like it so much, and we're, like we've said so many times, we're a sucker for Cryptozoic Cerberus engine games.
Yes.
Like, we just really enjoy them. These, Crisis 2 and Crisis 1, make the DC deck building game into a cooperative experience instead of the base set competitive experience that we're generally used to. They give us a certain amount of cards. We've got a whole bunch more of these impossible mode supervillains to fight, and a ton of crises. Now, I'm purposely not reading these out to you because we're avoiding spoilers, just because it's so much fun when you play that first time to see what's going on, what's going to happen.
And you have no idea what you're in for.
But I will show that we get a whole bunch of new Crisis heroes, and these are awesome.
Yes, I agree.
And then we've got a bunch that you can use competitively, and then they add a bunch of cards that you can put into and mix into the base deck of whichever expansion or base set you're playing.
You can play with any of the DCs.
Any of the big boxes, base or expansion. Simplicity versus complexity.
I would say this game is simple, especially if you know deck building games. It's simple. The crises add a little bit more complication, and making it co-op adds a little bit more complication because you can't kill the villains. I mean, you don't get the villains in your hand. They go away. There's just a few things, but it's still pretty simple. Yeah, so I would say this is a fairly simple game.
It's a simple game, like Molly said, especially if you already know deck building, and especially if you know deck building with Cerberus Engine, Cryptozoic, popular brands. Yeah. So, very simple game. Let's talk luck versus strategy, though.
I think this game is super, super lucky, as with a lot of the DC deck building games. But, let's get to fun versus boring in a minute. But yeah, so I would say a lot of luck. You have one stack of cards and things coming out, so your luck is determined based on what you get to purchase. You have these crises, like Tom was saying, that do crazy things, and some of them aren't in the game, and so you don't know which ones, and you don't know what order they're going to hit you. Sometimes the ones that are the worst get you in the beginning, and it's really, really, really hard to finish them, and the end of the game is triggered if you get through the crisis, if you win, or if you get through the crisis, or the main deck stack, which could happen if you can't get through one of these for a long, long time. And so I think it's pretty luck-based in that there is some strategy in what you choose, and if I really need equipments as Nightwing, I'm going to say, hey, keep me the equipment. So there's some strategy going on with the team, but I'd say it's just pretty heavy in the luck.
This is a lucky game. There's the random chance that when you have any conveyor belt deck builder where there aren't set stacks, but they're just coming out from the top of one single stack, and maybe what you want isn't there, or maybe somebody buys it the turn before it comes to you, or maybe after you purchase yours and refill the stack, what you wanted comes out now, and of course it's not going to be there within 4 rounds. Granted, it's a cooperative game, so you can sort of mitigate that.
Right.
But I mean, this also does play competitively with the heroes they give you and such. So, I mean, it is a random. It has a lot of random chance in the game. However, you can, with these new heroes, there's so much deck manipulation that it really helps you strategize. I mean, the very first time I played, I was Red Tornado, who I don't think is that great in the other version.
Right, you can put your deck.
Right, but I mean, I've liked it and I've used it and I've won with it, but there are better heroes, better powers. This is, if you play 3 or more cards with different types during your turn, you may choose a player. That player puts his deck into his discard pile. When I first played this, I thought, man, that's kind of odd. And then it turned out to like win us the game. Like it's a crazy good power. So there's a lot of strategy as well. Fun versus boring.
I think this game is fun. You have to note, or we will note, that when you play the expansion or the cooperative mode, it tends to be a lot longer of a game, which is a little bit unfortunate, which makes the fun to go down a tiny bit because I want it to be faster. This one, the Crisis 2, was supposed to make it faster, supposed to streamline some of those things that made the one, but I don't know that it is.
Yeah, we still play 2-hour-long games, and that is weird for a Cerberus Engine game.
Yeah, and so it's not like we don't like playing that long of a game. It just doesn't feel like it should be that long. That being said, it's still super fun. I think that the co-op version makes this really thematic, because then you are Nightwing trying to get equipment. You are Starfire trying to get superpowers, because you can say, hey, I really want those superpowers, or hey, I really want this card, and go to your character's abilities, and then you're actually working together and to beat the villain. So I think it's super fun, especially thematically, which we're suckers for thematic games.
This is a very fun game. I enjoy that we got Black Canary. When you buy or gain a villain from the lineup, you must put it on the bottom of your deck instead of destroying it. All the other heroes destroy. This one says you must. So if you get an attack, I mean, you have to really make your decisions there. It's fun. You got all these new cards. You got a bunch of Black Lantern heroes that turn into villains and do crazy attacks, which is great. And then you got these guys, which are the competitive ones, and they were not created equally. No. Some of these are really good, and some of these are not. And so,
at least in our experience. So
it just makes a whole different game every time. I do believe this is fun, but let's talk BGG rating. I'm going 7 because of the length of time in the co-op. Like, I don't always want to play because you have to invest, you have to commit. But it is DC, and I do like it, so I'm gonna go 7.
I'm gonna give it an 8. Slightly better. Maybe I like co-ops more. Maybe that's it. But yeah. So real quick, glitter paintings. You can win one every time we get to multiples of 500 if you're a subscriber. Yeah. So subscribe.
Subscribe now, because it could be you that wins.
DC Crisis 2. We presented the evidence.
You be the judge.